And we're getting some calls coming in, but I just want to be clear about something. Kind of like when you came on the first time. One, you're not saying anybody should go out there and use drugs. You're not saying that at all. So for folks who are thinking, oh no, no, you're not saying we should all go out there and use drugs. You've never said that we should buy drugs on the street. You've never said go out on the street and get all the drugs you want. You're not saying that. But what you are saying is that this quote unquote war on drugs is based. I mean, I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth. To me, I feel like it's a remixed version of Jim Crow because they found a way to lock us up for petty crimes, put us behind bars. Every Wednesday, later on today, I do a series called Exonerated, and I talk to people who've been wrongfully convicted. They're finding ways to do it. So I think it's really crucial that we rethink. If you're thinking about justice, rethink the way that we look at drugs in our country, in our communities. It's just so crucial. Let's go to another call before we. I know you have to head out soon, Mr. Dr. Hart. Let's go to Latanya from Nebraska. What's up, Latanya?
Hi, Clay. How are you? Good to
Good.
be on your show and to hear you. It's hit and miss.
Mhm.
I just wanted to share just a little personal experience, personal and professional. I'm a recovering crack cocaine addict. I've been sober every 20 years in June. By the loving grace of a merciful God, I've been sober. I'm also a licensed alcohol and drug counselor and a licensed mental health practitioner. I've had lived experience and professional experience. I work with high risk adolescent Black males. That's my niche. Let me tell you something. That marijuana, it plants the seed. I have young people that I work with right now. You're right. And when he said, "Oh, they don't have all these different behaviors when they're in his laboratories or whatever," when I don't know what that's going on. That's a controlled environment as far as that's
Mhm.
concerned. But tell a 16-year-old who's high on marijuana and trying to impress his peers that if he go put some work in, then he's going to have status in his community. And what you're saying, I do believe this is the new Jim Crow. And what you're saying, however, our Black people, we have to learn how to dig the skin that we're in. We can't get away with doing things that the wonderfuls can do. That same 16-year-old white boy, his parents can't afford treatment and therapy. So what happens to the young Black male? They get put on probation for skipping
Right.
school, and then they
Latanya, and Miss, I don't mean to cut you off, but I hear what you're saying, but I do want Dr. Hart to respond because I don't think that he's saying 16-year-olds should be doing drugs. I don't think he's saying that at all. And what you're talking about probation, I think it goes right to what Dr. Hart is talking about. You're getting put in the system. So I want to let him respond. Dr. Hart, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the callers. I think she raised an issue that's important because she's expressing our ambivalence as a community. We kind of feel like that, and that
Hmm.
sort of position that she's taking. First of all, it's a straw man to think about like young people using drugs. I mean, in this country, you have to be 18 to smoke tobacco, 21 in order to do alcohol. So nobody's talking about young people. And
Right.
she also raises the issue of Black people being treated differently than white people. She's absolutely right, but
Yes.
the answer is not that we should support these prohibitive restrictive drug laws, because when we do, Black people will not only be treated differently than white people, they will be killed by the police at a higher rate than white people, like we're seeing. And so her point, she expresses, is this ambivalent that we feel in the community. But I need to make sure that this is clear before I leave. Um, that ambivalence that she's expressing, drugs are so awful, drugs are bad, drugs are destroying the community, that gives police carte blanche to come into your community and assassinate people like Andrew Brown, people like Breonna Teller. And so that sort of that commentary we need to check, because that's the commentary that has me here today talking about this poor brother who lost his life as a result of the police coming in and assassinating him. This is why we all marched this past summer, because of Breonna Taylor, because we are saying drugs are so awful. Come into our community, treat us any kind of way. Don't come to my community. That's not how I want to live like that. And I don't want my children, my relatives, my loved ones, my friends to be treated in a way where police can treat us any kind of way because they say drugs are so awful. We will deal with that. That's what people like me do as a scientist. We study drugs to try to help people to understand where the real dangers lie. We all are concerned about people, but I assure you, our answers is not giving police carte blanche in our community to let them come and assassinate our people. That's slave mentality, thinking like that. We can handle this in a way that is humane, in a way that's productive, in a way that is helpful, in a way that is universally consistent, such that we don't treat anybody any poorer than we treat someone else. We treat people equally. We treat them like they are humans. We treat them with dignity.
And let's not forget, even with George Floyd, although it was over a $20 bill, let's not forget they tried to say he was on fentanyl, so it was his fault that he died because he did drugs. It wasn't a knee in the neck. It was fentanyl. Him and his girlfriend, and he relapsed and whatever. So they tried to say he swallowed all these pills. They literally, to your point, they tried to use that narrative to say he basically killed himself. Latanya, a final comment, then we have to go. Oh, I'm sorry, I hung up on you. I'm sorry. Dr. Carl Hart, thank you for coming on. I think it's really important that we look at this. I know it's complicated, y'all. I get it. But on this show, I just try and challenge people a bit, and we gotta look below the surface. We gotta really go under and see what are the ways we can really make some significant change. And maybe it is eventually, pushing your local officials, pushing your senator. Maybe that's an agenda down the line that we think about. Dr. Carl Hart, how can folks pick up your book?
Please, you can pick it up at your local bookstore. Support independent booksellers. It's everywhere. Drug Use for Grown-Ups. You can check out my website, drcarlhart.com. And you can see how this is not new and how we continue a long, inglorious history of assassinating Black people because they are said to have used or sold drugs.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on, Dr. Hart.